Easter Sunday 2022. Look at that. It's cleaned up. That pile of boards is getting used for the shed. This pile of boards is getting used for the shed. The rest of it up here is cleaned up. Notice I took the fly pen off the front here. It got relocated, and I'm going to do something different with it. So my last two videos were about bird flu. I think you get where I stand on it at this point. I'm not going to continue beating a dead horse. Oh, by the way, it is snowing here, as you can see on the ground out there. So today, instead, what I'm going to talk about is what I got planned for this shed here. What all I've done so far and where I'm planning on taking it. As you can see, it is not in good shape. Let's get out of the wind here. We'll talk about it. So the first thing I had to do to be able to actually work on this shed was to clear this old concrete slab. I've got it pretty well cleaned off. Got some stumps going here that, like this one here, I still got to cut. A couple others along the actual wall. As you can see, what's left of this wall is not in any kind of structural support shape. So, while I was cutting all these trees out of the concrete, I started taking them and putting them in position for supports. And basically I would notch them and screw in from one side. So if you hear a cat in the background, that's who it is. Showed up and hung out in our garage all winter. Anyhow, there's a lot of things I got to do to this shed to make it usable. Cleaning it out is on the low end of the totem pole right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to end up bracing diagonally from up here down to this little concrete post that this upright sits on. I'm going to do the same down at the other end. I'm going to work on the east side first. It's in the worst shape. Once I've got that bracing in place, and just out of curiosity, we're going to see where we're at for square. As you can see, the walls are out of level. So we're going to have to level this thing back up in the process too. But I honestly don't think I'll be able to do that until I get this east wall put in. Reason being is, well, I suppose I could. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. So, once I get my bracing in, get it squared up, we're going to replace this wall. And to do that, we're going to use completely new lumber. Not that there's much that I could have reused anyway. I am probably going to be cutting these old bolts off flat with the concrete, and then I'll just drill and epoxy in some new ones to hold down the sill plate. This corner is going to have to be rebuilt. So what I'm probably going to end up doing there is I'll have to cut this board back, sister in a new piece, probably cut this sill plate back, put some jacks in place to hold it while I cut it out, put a new piece in down here, and these boards, I'm either going to cut them back in a staggered situation so that they're, you can see how the seams are staggered here. We've got a seam here and then a solid and a solid. I'll probably go back a couple of 2x4s and do the same, or I might just take the whole section out and replace it with a brand new sheet of plywood. We will see, because either way I'm going to have to put something solid there. The wall itself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build it laying down, then we're going to walk it in place, bolt it to this concrete base here, and we're going to have to put some bracing on so that's sitting upright. Once I get that in place, then I can start assessing how much of this I'm going to have to replace or sister in. More than likely what I'll do is I'll cut back, anywhere from 2 foot to 2.5 foot of it, sister in a new piece to sit on the sill. Pretty much going to follow the same original pattern where I'm going to have 2 2x4s on top of each other with the seams overlapping, staggered pattern, and a single 2x6 for the bottom, and then do 2x4s for the uprights. That pile of boards I got sitting out there, that is my replacement lumber for any of these roofing boards that I'll have to replace. I am debating on whether or not I will put these window lights in. I'm kind of leaning towards not putting them back in. Reason being is we do get hail out here. I don't want to be out here fixing them all the time, although I suppose I could do plastic. What I think I'm going to do instead is a combination of hail screen and plastic in between the studs so that I don't have to mess with headers and, you know, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, get that east wall replaced, get the roof secure on that side. In order to replace the boards, I will have to I'll have to remove the shingling that's on there, what's left of the old shingling. As you can see, that shingling is pretty well shot. So then, once I have this side secure, I am basically going to then focus my attention on the west side. Now, as you can see with these uprights over here, they are leaning. So I fully expect that side to need to be pushed back to square also. But it's got a lot left of the structure when compared to the east side, so that's why I'm focusing on the east side. Now what I'd like to do with this west side is actually tear out this west wall, and then obviously I gotta remove these trees. You can see how bad that wall is. Just not in good shape. But there's another concrete slab over here, and this concrete slab's actually in better shape than the one on the east side. So what I'd like to do is extend the concrete footer down the length of the slab, and then once I tear this west wall out, I actually want to go in and tear part of the west roof out, change the roof line so instead of angling it down, it follows the original angle. And if it's angled how I hope, or how I'm measuring it out in my mind, then by the time I get to this fence line, I should be at either 5 or 6 foot. I'd have to check the drawings that I made. But then this whole fence line can come out, and I will have extended this side of the building by 16 feet. That's going to be a very long process, a lot of steps involved, and I have to do all of that before I even worry about the inside of here. Now obviously, once I get the outside taken care of, I should put steel on the roof. I should get this door put in, get the windows put back in, and then as far as this doorway, I haven't completely made up my mind yet, to be honest. Part of me wants to keep it like this so that when I clean, I can just drive my little tractor in there, push everything to the end, scoop it up in the bucket, and be done. However, I know that those sliding doors like that are, you know, they can be difficult to move. They're heavy, and at the same time, the wind likes to grab a hold of them and mess them up. So I'm not 100% convinced that that's what I'm going to do. But in either case, I think I'm going to keep this center corridor 6 foot wide as it is now. Now it's probably more than 6 foot wide, but you know, it's I'd have to measure it, but I'm going to go with, say, it's 6 foot wide, probably 8. But the pens themselves are going to be to the right and to the left. Now this east side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep, again, just going to replace that east wall. I'm not going to do anything as far as extending the building or anything on this side. But I'm going to build a series of pens down this side that are 8 foot deep and 4 foot wide. That'll give me 10 pens on this side. This side, I've got a whole diagram of how I plan on laying it out. But basically, I'm going to keep with the 4 foot wide theme, and 8 foot deep. So since we figure roughly 8 foot from the post to the existing wall, plus an additional 16 foot, I'll have 3 pens down this way, then a 4 foot walkway, 3 pens down this way, 3 pens back to back of it, 4 foot walkway, 3 sets of pens, 3 sets of pens, 4 foot walkway, and continue this pattern down towards the end. When I get to the end of the walkway, I'm planning on having larger group pens set up. So, and a lot of these pens over on this side, I'm going to be able to have little sliding doors and stuff so that when I'm not using them for breeding season, I can open them up and use them for group holding pens for larger groups of birds. You're not having to go into every little single pen and feed and water, 2, 3 birds. Now, the only bad side about wanting to set up this west side the way that I want to is I'm going to have to move one of these uprights, add an additional upright, knock out one of these little concrete foots that they sit on, which this one here's not buried in pine shavings, so you can see it better. But I'm going to have to knock one of them out, and then, in order to get through here with the wheelbarrows and whatever, I'm going to have to come in with a concrete saw, and wherever my walkways are, I'm going to have to cut a chunk out of the old stem wall that these walls are sitting on, so that I have just a nice smooth walkway. Overall, for no faster than I move, realistically, I'm looking at probably 2 or 3 years worth of work on this. I might surprise myself, who's to say. Once all that's done, then, I've got the whole bottom row set up how I want it. I've got the roof on, all that good stuff. And I've got the hayloft. What I've got in mind for that is I'm thinking that's where I'd like to put my showbirds when I'm getting them ready for show season. There's a lot of room that I can put a lot of individual cages up there, and of course I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I really want to do that, because I'd have to get feed and water up there, I'd have to clean out the pens, which, as long as I keep the hayloft door functional, then I can just put my loader bucket up there, and that'll be the end of that. It'll need lights and wiring, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have somebody else do that when the time comes. I don't feel like getting myself barbecued. I'm not real confident with my electrical skills, and I don't like taking chances with stuff like that and wiring it up wrong to cause a fire or electrocuting myself. But this thing needs work, and it's needed work since before I got here, but it's been a low priority. And basically, with the wall getting to the situation that it is now, I have just decided, you know what, even though I've got other irons in the fire, I have to address this or the building won't be standing for much longer. And that's where I'm at with it. So, like I said, getting it cleaned out, not exactly a priority right now. So I apologize to those who think that I should keep everything spotless. But most of this stuff that I work on out here, it's just me. And there's only so much I can do in a day. And there's only so much that my injuries allow me to get done in the day, and most of the time what I am able to get done in the day isn't anywhere near what I used to be able to do anymore, and I've just had to accept that and go at a pace that, you know, maybe it takes me 3 days to do something I used to do in half a day, but it's either that or I try to push myself to do it in half a day, and then I'm completely worthless for 4 days and in pain. In all honesty, I hadn't planned on setting this building up to be a breeding barn. All I was going to do with it was I was planning on using it to house my breeding stock in the winter. Basically, my goal was to, at the end of the fall, start a winter, have everything sold down each year to breeding stock and potential breeding stock. And I said, well, as you can see, it's Easter and it's snowing here. A lot of people up here have to do breeding indoors to get their chicks off early, and as much as I like my mobile breeding pens and I think there's some real benefits to using them, the truth is they're very weather dependent, and unless I want to be spending time and money on putting plastic on them and off them every season, which, you know, you can only use it so many seasons before it's too tore up to use again. Realistically, I just need to set it up so that I can set my birds up for breeding indoors. And it's going to benefit me in the long run anyway, because, you know, as I get older, it's just going to make doing chores easier for both of us. You know, and I breed the same birds that I show, so I can literally just come down here, pick out the birds I want to condition, and put them upstairs for showing. And then I still want to build a quarantine building on the opposite end of the property, and that will happen, but this has just got to happen first, or else this building's not going to stand. And, you know, it's not going to be cheap to fix this up, but at the same time, it's still going to be cheaper, I feel, than to knock it all down and start from scratch. So, this solid wall room here, I'm debating either I will tear this side and make it wire and make it a breeding pen, or I will try to get the water set back up in here in this building, and then I'll only have 9 pens down this side, but got plenty of time to figure that out. So anyhow, hope it's warmer where you're at. Thanks for watching.